Today's topic is estrus synchronization and the artificial insemination in the sheep and goats. Regarding the goats, it is started in India, but in the sheep, some people are working in this area. Because of the nature of cervix, most of the institution or most of the scientists are avoiding to artificial insemination in the sheep. The total sheep population in the country is 74.26 million, which is increased by 14% over the previous census, and the goat population has increased by 10.1% and ranging from the about 150 million. It is a huge population in our country. But unfortunately, the descript breed percentage is about 30 to 35% only. So take a look on the census. Total goat population 148.88 million, and where the male is 32 million and female percentage is more, 116 million. So this is the gap in the equality of the ratio of the male and female in the goat, and also same condition is exist in the sheep. Despite of the above fact, descript population is only 30-35%, as I said, in the sheep and goat also, and unavailability of the elite germ plasm of the male buck or ram is a challenge. So the propagation of the proven buck or ram through semen preservation and AI is only alternative. Mostly the breeding season in the goat is all around the year, but some has categorized in the month-wise, like the Kashmiri goat, April to August is breeding season, Jamunapari, June to November, and then May to July, the Siroi, and likewise other breeds like the Black Bengal, the May, June, October to November. But nowadays it is seen that breeding is occurs in all around the year except too cold and too hot. And during my PhD thesis, I also found that when there is a too cold or too hot, when there is a rain comes, after the rain, after 2 to 3 days of the rain, suddenly increase in the stress in the goat. It is my personal observation. Reproductive traits in Indian goat is very low. As we know that why, because of the non-breeding season, it is then long kidding interval and less proliferation, delayed puberty, which may be due to the poor nutrition and other things, and unavailability of the proven buck, etc. So estrus synchronization and use of artificial insemination may be very useful for the same. So what we could do, that we could do the breeding management of the goat and sheep also. For the breeding management, some points are there, like the deciding the breeding period. Most of people has not well managed their dairy, their goat farm and sheep farm, because they had breeds their animals around the year. But deciding the breeding period is one of the good management practice in the sheep and goat. Then allotment of dose to each buck. Prior to breeding season, if you prepare the breeding chart for the each buck and allot this buck for the allot the goats for this buck, then it will be better managed. Then flushing of the dose means the extra nutrition before the start of breeding season is one of the most important management practice. The supplementation of fish oil prior to breeding season, or you say that in the non-breeding season also, then it will increase the stress induction rate and also consumption rate. Then isolation of the dose showing no sign heat. If you isolate those animals which are not showing any heat, then you betterly manage these animals by providing the extra nutrition and other things or proper care. Then detection of stress, synchronization of the stress and AI. It is the most important part of the management of breeding in the sheep and goat. Nowadays, it is more practicable because of introduction of AI in the sheep and goat. So comes to the topic in the estrus detection. We can use the vesectomized or teaser buck twice a day, or teaser rams twice a day, or 10 to 15 minutes or half an hour to detect the estrus doe or EV, then separate that estrus doe and EV and breed them by the natural means or by artificial insemination. What are the estrus symptoms in the goats? I have enlisted this. That is the acceptance of or mounting of the teaser bug, then blanching and frequent wagging of the tail, as many people have seen this, and mounting over the other and allowing to mounting. Clear, transparent, and sticky discharge. Most of the time, it is not seen in the case of sheep and goat because of the hairy structure near the vulva. Then swollen and reddish vulva is also. Then one of the most important signs is that gathering of the estrus female around the teaser bug or ram. It is also a estrus sign, good estrus sign. Then it comes to the follicular attributes of the goat. As you know that estrus cycle is around 21 days. Then follicular development occurs in 3 to 4 wave patterns. And generally the last wave is ovulatory. And the noting point is that the estrus duration ranges from 24 to 36 hours. And then cover the estrus female 10 to 12 hours after the onset of estrus. In the case of sheep, at the end of the estrus, you can cover the estrus female. For better conception, we used twice natural service or artificial insemination at the date of 12-hour interval. And many people use the thrice artificial insemination at 12-hour interval for the better conception. Then comes to the main topic, that is estrus synchronization. So synchronizing the estrus female is not a big deal nowadays because of introduction of hormones and other things. So mechanism of control the estrus is by two ways. Either you stimulate the corpus luteum or you utilize the corpus luteum. Then current approaches is accordance with the pharmacological methods in which we use the hormones like the prostaglandins, progestins based devices like the progestin sponge, grids, and CLDR. Then combination of the GnRH with the prostaglandin and also with the progestin devices. Then natural way is that exposure of the male, sudden exposure of the male after a long interval will also increase in the estrus. Then environmental manipulation like the photoperiodism of the light, photoperiodic effect of the light and other things may be introduced for the estrus induction. Then comes to the progestin-based synchronization of the estrus. Then it is categorized in the oral treatment, injections, and intravaginal sponges. Most commonly used the intravaginal sponges. It is very cheaper also, and also it is very easy to handle that. In the oral treatment, the medroxyprogesterone acetate, meldrogestrel acetate, and other things are used at the dose rate of 0.25 mg or 0.3 mg per kg body weight for the 18 days. But nowadays it is not used in the most of the form, and injection is also not used in most of the form. Then intravaginal sponges, which are impregnated with the progesterone. This is the progesterone sponge made by the Avikanagar, which is called as Aviki seal. It has 350 mg natural progesterone, and two types of sponges are there, which is FGA based or MAP based. So progesterone is inserted, progesterone sponge or CRDR is inserted for the two way, like the short-term insertion and the long-term insertion. In the short-term insertion, we can use the we can insert the sponges and other CIDR based devices for the 7 to 9 days, and the long term it is used for the 14 up to the 14 days. And if you have introduced the semen stimulating hormone also, like the FSH or ECG, or at the rate of 300 to 500 international unit prior to the withdrawal of the progesterone sponges, then it is very much a promising result. Then exhibition of the estrus within 24 to 48 hours after the sponge withdrawal has comes. In my PhD work, it comes up to the 72 to 96 hours after the withdrawal progesterone sponge. But it was a very short study in the, I think 24 goats was there. But if you have taken in the large herd, then most of the female come in the estrus within 48 hours after the withdrawal of progesterone. Then use of GnRH after the 54 hours after progesterone withdrawal, which help in the ovulation also, and simultaneously you with the artificial insemination or natural insemination. This is some photographs you are glimpsing that insertion of the progesterone sponges, ipicacil. This is the sponge inserted in the plunger. This is the inserted into the vagina of the female, and then you insert with the push with this rod, and you just check for the proper insertion by pulling that thread, and cut this thread by here only, as some other goats has not chew it. Then subcutaneous implants are also there for the progesterone-based devices like that, to margestomate, ear implants, and other things are also there. And intravaginal control intrauterine device like CIDR. It is more popular in the case of cattle and buffalo, but T-shape insert made with the medical silicone estromers impregnated with progesterone is also available for the sheep and goat. Then comes to the prostaglandin. It is also a hormone, prostaglandin F2 series, which terminates the luteal phase of the CL. That is the luteolysis of the CL, or regression of the CL occurs by using this hormone. Then natural and prostaglandin analogs like the glucostenol is also available. Nowadays, most of the people using the prostaglandin analog like glucostenol. And beta synchrony could be achieved by giving 2 injections of the PGF2 alpha by 11-day interval. That will induce the estrus within 24 hours or 48 hours. These are the summary of the some hormones and active ingredient and dose rate and route of administration, like leucolytes as the active ingredient dinoprost. Dose rate is 7.5 mg and double injection is given. Glucostenol is the synthetic analog of PGF2 alpha. We can use up to 1 ml, like 250 microgram. And most of people now are using 0.5 ml. It's saying that it is sufficient, like the 150 microgram. And Crystal ear implant, which have the active ingredient argestomate, in which the 3 mg ear implant along with the 1.5 mg argestomate intramuscular, and then 2.5 mg estradiol validate. It is a little bit hectic. And then natural progesterone, like 350 mg for 12 to 14 days. It is also in our avicacil, progesterone, Indian made avicacil. Then CIDR, it is also contain the progesterone, and synchromid B, and so many things. Take a look at the percentage of estrus induction rate and consumption rate in the progesterone-based device and other hormonal combination like the progesterone intravaginal sponge. Estrus induction rate 80 to 85% and consumption rate 60 to 75%. Then GnRH based with combination of PGF2 alpha have also the consumption rate of 80%. So these are the advantages of the hormonal treatment, when particularly in the non-breeding season, or we can say that low breeding season, we can use the progesterone-based devices or PGF2 alpha hormonal insertion. Then some hormone also I've tried, like the melatonin, but it is not effective, so much not effective. And recently we have tried the effect of dietary fish oil on the stress induction rate. It had very promising result on the 66.7% in the stress induction rate, data from the mitosis. And we have got a little bit low consumption rate, but that data was in the non-breeding season, particularly in the low temperature of about 5 degrees or 6 degrees, at maximum 10 degrees centigrade. So some of the protocols are also given by the, like the crystal implant insert in 0 day, and remove on the 9th day. Meanwhile, you have give the PMSG like ECG on the 8th day. Then fixed time AI detect the estrus and fixed time AI within the 42 to 72 hours. Then this is the CIDR vaginal sponge for the 14 days. And then you give the artificial insemination at fixed time. This is also one protocol like CIDR based, then you give the analog of PGF12 and D5 and then artificially inseminate it. Then also for 2 PG injection like 0 and 11 day. And then after that you detect the heat and go for the artificial insemination or natural mating. Then also natural synchronization is also there, like that called the male effect. When the sudden association of male after the long period of the separation is ensured daily for the short period. This is called the telescoping. Then most of the animals comes into the heat by giving this male effect for 7 to 8 days. Then comes to the semen collection. It is very important for the AI, because if you have not collected semen and not stored or not freezed, then how you perform the AI? So I will give the brief in the semen collection. Semen collection in birth, we use the methods like the artificial vagina method, then electroejaculation method. Then in which we have select the breeding buck, like the early age. We have select the breeding buck in the 3 to 6 month age, and which is actively growing, optimized body size and aggressive and dominant in nature. Then we must have a pedigree buck. Otherwise, we have it is not meaningful for the semen preservation. Then take a look of the physical conformation of the buck and their reproductive organs, like the testicle should be palpated in normal size and testicle within the scrotal sac and should not be too soft and too hard. Then there is no any other anatomical abnormality or pathological abnormality like hernia and abscess there. Then you should have good libido. And also, if you have good libido, pedigree is good, physical conformation, and you have selected well but you must have examined the semen quality. Otherwise, you will not succeed in your goal. Then training of the male, it is very important part in the semen collection. Some people have using the male as a dummy, but few percentage of the bucks are trained by this method. And then some have used the Estrus doe as a dummy. Then in this case, we can train the young males and then Estrus doe. Most of the people have used this Estrus doe as a dummy, which has started 2 months prior to breeding season. If you have not succeeded by any means, then untrained male is left in the Estrus doe and individual pain. Okay. Then served by the natural means, they have served the natural means, then they have shown the effective ejaculation in the artificial vagina. You have not succeeded in this process like the Estrus doe and other things, then you have tried this method and you got a very promising result. What are the precautions during the training of the buck? They require many hours, much patience are there. I have tried so many times, like the 10 to 12 time in my PhD work, and I have got a single drop of, I doesn't got a single drop of the semen. But suddenly in one day I have got the semen in all the 4 bucks, which I have tried. So it requires much more patience, and don't change the trainer frequently. If you have in mind that if we have changed the trainers, then it is it is not very fruitful. Then handling of the buck and ram is very polite, in a very polite manner. Otherwise, they never give the semen. If you have beat with any stick and other things, you will never got any single drop of the semen. Then training of the first service should be in the same place. Okay. If you have given the training on the other place and you have collected the semen on the other place, it is not advised, not recommended. Then temperature of the baby is very important. If you have got very high temperature, then also in the case of bull, also they never give the semen, or they take very long there for the giving the semen until they have not they have erased their memory for that too much high temperature. Then avoid the disturbance. It is very important. Most of people saying that it is not a good, it is not a very much promising point. But I have observed that if you have given very cool environment, then it is very, you will guard the semen within 10 to 15 minutes. Otherwise, if you have gone for the disturbance, like noise and other things, or some crowding, then it will take 1 hour, 2 hours. Also. Then what are the semen collection what are procedure by this for the semen collection in the buck by AV method? Like collecting pens should be 8 by 8 and sufficient, and it is sufficient for 6 to 8 buck and sufficient place for mobility of the buck, and I'm also there. And this your collecting pen is very nearer to the level. After that, preparation of the AV. Prepare the AV after the autoclaving of all parts. Then assemble the AV like the bull and feed with warm water. About 150 ml water at the temperature of 44 to 48 degrees. But the ready to use temperature is about 40 to 41 or 42 degrees, not much more than. Then blow the air in the valve in the AV. Lubricate with the soft paraffin to avoid injury, and preparation of the soil is also needed, like clean the abdominal area around the seat and superficial hairs should be not much more. Then dry the seat area by sterilized towel or air dry. These are the parts of artificial vagina for small ruminant, like it is artificial vagina about 20 centimeter long, and this is the inner rubble liner. Then this is collection cup, and this is the artificial insemination gun, and this is prepared AV. Then procedure for the semen collection. Then bring the dummy. It is very important. Bring the dummy in the collection crate about 15 minutes before the actual collection. Then allow the buck for false mounting. 2 to 3 false mounting should be there. Then collect the semen by directing the penis of the buck towards the AV after erection and mounting. Direct the penis towards your artificial vagina. Then allow for 2 to 4 strong downward thrust. It is very important. 2 to 4 downward strong thrust is very important for the semen collection. Then examine the semen immediately after the collection. We can collect the semen in 2 to 3 times in a day, and operators should be preferably in the right side, like this figure. And semen collection in the ram is also by the electroejaculation or the AV method. This is the electroejaculator for the ram, which is inserted inside the rectum and give the about 8-volt current. Most of people using 5-volt current. Then ejaculation will occur once probe is correctly positioned. By the AV method, it is similar to the buck. It is AV method, collection of the semen, the ram. Some of the photographs has taken by the Dr. Krishnappa. And what are the characteristics of the good extend? After the collection of semen, you extend the semen to the many folds. That is very important for the good germplasm and other things. Otherwise, if you have not extended the semen, it is meaningless. So these are the some ideal characteristics of the good extender, like this. It should have source of energy, good buffering capacity, should have proper osmotic pressure, bacterial growth, and should increase the volume, easy to prepare, and low cost. The important point is that your animal is not too much costly. So your standard is not too much costly. Otherwise, people has not interest in the buying the semen, because if the standard is not low cost, then automatically the price of the extra is increased. The composition of tris buffer, most of people has known that. So comes into the artificial insemination. Most of people has research that one buck by the natural mating can cover only up to the maximum 150 dose in a year. This figure may be vary with the breed and place of the place. So for that purpose, frozen semen was introduced, and we cover up to 4,500 dose or up to the 5,000 dose in a year. So this is the manifold of that, and it is very, very much important for in the goat industry. So in the current livestock census, we have seen that more than 100 million breedable does are available, but buck number are very less. So AI is the better choice. What are the factors induced to adoption of AI in the goat rather than sheep? Shortage of males, shortage of good quality males. In the Indian condition, you see that males, good quality males are sold preferably, and bad quality males are kept for the breeding purpose. That's why most of the indigenous traits are going to last, and most of the breedable animal going to the inbreeding in low inherited characters. If you have sold out your good quality males, then automatically shortage of the urban males occurs. So a small size of farmer flocks is also a factor induced to adoption of the AI. And because if you have maintained 1 to 2 goats or 5 goats, and you have also maintained the breeding buck, it is very costly to maintain the breeding buck or up to the 5 goat or 10 goats. If you have more number of goats, then you have maintained the breeding bucks. Otherwise, it is very costly. Then availability of the semen for the goats for AI is now more, because most of the institution has making the semen extra for the goats available, so that it is also a inducing factor for the adaptation of AI in the goat. So goat has less torso cervix. It is also important point, but non-seasonal sexual activity, it is also by adaptation point, because most of the people has seen that their goat has not come in the estrus, then they go for the synchronization, artificial insemination. It is also a induction point for the goat AI. Likewise, the other factors are also important. Importance of the application of the goat AI. So introduction of new or desirable genotype is faster rate. When we introduce the AI, artificial insemination, the goat or sheep, then it also automatically introduces a newer and desirable genotype faster rate. Like most of the people using Black Bengal and Siroi in Bihar nowadays, and good quality semen for that purpose. Then AI permits the production when sustainable males are not available. Then accurate breeding records is very important point. When we use the artificial insemination, then we can record the breeding history or pedigree for that, for the good herd management. Then another point is that control of disease transmission. Many of the disease has transmitted through natural service, so that disease can be stopped by that using the artificial insemination. Then maintaining a buck is small herd is difficult, as I told previously. It also check the indiscriminate breeding and dilution of the breeding, or dilution of the breeds. As we know that our breeds are diluted by the low quality buck or ram. So it is very important, and now it is challenge to also to take a height of our breed and good quality, maintain the good quality breeds of our indigenous. What are the equipments are used during the AI? It is listed here, like carrying case, artificial insemination or AI gun, then AI gun sheath, AI light, vaginal speculum, cutter. We put it here. This is the vaginal speculum, which we insert in the vagina and see the cervix. Then AI light, by using the AI light, we locate the cervix. Then AI sheath, AI gun and AI sheath. AI sheath to put it over the AI gun after loading the extra, then it is thigh unit. It maintains the 37 degrees centigrade, and it is extra cutter, and this is the non-irritating lubricant. And what is the methods? Common methods are used like intravaginal, intracervical, and intrauterine. Mostly use the intracervical. What are the procedure? Estrus goat lifted from the back on clear visualization of genitalia by using the vaginal speculum and the AI light. Then insert the vaginal speculum and insert the AI gun after the visualization of the cervix. Then reach up to the cervical opening or inside the cervix. Most of people going up to this point, but some people are going to the uterine hole also. If you have properly located, then deposit the semen. And the clitoral massage will increase the better fertility. This is the some photographs in which I have put that ideal AI procedure: the removal of the cap of cryocan, the removal of cryocan lid, then lifting of the canister up to the neck, only neck. Otherwise, you thaw your semen. Then take out the stuff from the goblets. Then transfer this to the thigh unit. Then closing of cryocan. Most of people have forgotten that. Then pulling out the AI gun piston, then taking out the AI sheath and drying up the extra with cotton. It is very important also. Then loading of the extra in the AI gun and cutting of the extra. It is like the AI of the cattle buffalo and loading of the AI sheath over the gun. And then inseminate the goat by lifting the hind limb and insert the vaginal speculum. Take a light source for the visualization of the cervix and insert the AI gun into the cervical os. What are the anatomical differences in the sheep and goat cervix? It is narrow and convoluted like that. In the goat, relatively, it is less. And length-wise variation is also there, and fold-wise variation is also there. More number of folds are there in the sheep. This is the grade 1, means that if you have a cervix of not much more folded, then you have a grade 1 type of artificial insemination, and then this is the tortuous nature of the sheep. Then most of the researchers are also nowadays using the laparoscopic AI, particularly in the embryo production or good quality breed or endangered species also. So this is the instruments for the laparoscopic AI. This is the AI kit for the ram. This is the localization of the external os and then insertion of the chilled semen. Most of the time we have dilute the semen and chill in the refrigerator, and we can use that. Then this is the transcervical artificial insemination as CSWRI, and os is located with the aid of light and needle is gently introduced and deposit the semen in the uterus or deepest position in the cervix. This is the special crate made for the artificial insemination in the sheep. What are the factors affecting the artificial insemination? Like live and fresh semen, viable semen, either using the live semen or viable fresh cold semen or frozen semen. It is also affect the artificial insemination and conception rate, timing of the insemination and proper disposition, age, breed, health condition of the particular animal. Seasonal variation is also there in the conception rate and successful AI. And technician skill is most important. If you are not skilled in the artificial insemination in the sheep and goat, then it is very hectic to get a conception rate, a good conception rate. And what is standard used in the frozen semen is also an important point. And the methods, either use vaginal. If you use vaginal, then you must have used the chilled semen. Otherwise, if you have put the cryo-freeze semen, then very low conception. Then cervical uterine or laparoscopic. Highest conception rate is in laparoscopic. What are the limitations of the AI? Shortage of male for superior genetic makeup. Nowadays, artificial insemination is more popular in goat. So, but it is also some limitations. Until now, very shortage of males. Proven buck, you said that. Proven buck is also very short. Like the some of the institution has maintained the proven buck. Otherwise, farmers have sold out their proven buck. In a small size of flock, if you have gone for the artificial insemination in the 1 or 2 animals, it is very costly. Then skilled technical person and equipments Then conception rate of the AI is also not too much high until now. Then practical use of techniques by stress synchronization detection of heat. It is also important. Most of people has called the for the artificial insemination in their sheep and goat, but their sheep and goat not in proper heat. Then use of stress synchronization and detection of heat is also important. So that if you have synchronized the animals and after that you have give artificial insemination, then it is more consumption. Then lack of interest of the farmers also is very limitation. And illiteracy among the farmers, sometimes social taxation also. Then field visits of the scientists is generally not possible. It is also an important point. And field visit of scientists have to give the awareness in the that artificial insemination sector. So it is very important. Then training of the extension workers is all for the insemination of the AI of the goat and ram sheep is also important.